Hi everyone, welcome back to the Star Wars Library. Today, I guess you could call it a Boba Fett centered episode. Today we're talking about a pop-up comic and a one-shot comic. So I guess in a sense both one-shot books. But it's all about Boba Fett. So should be a fan favorite, right? Just because it's Boba Fett. But anyways, so the first comic is called Boba Fett Twin Engines of Destruction. And I have it collected in the Boba Fett Death, Lies, and Treachery trade paperback. This has the big three one-shots that Dark Horse did of Boba Fett. So this is where I have it. Basically, it was originally published in Galaxy Magazine number 8. But then it was put out again by Dark Horse, reprinted in 1997. Same year, they just ended up putting it out there. So basically in the story, Dengar actually meets with Jodo Kast, a bounty hunter wearing a Mandalorian armor that's very similar to Fett's. In fact, I believe he's one of the ones who everyone's like, here's Boba Fett t-shirts, and it's like, that's Jodo Kast. I believe that's him, or it's another Mandalorian that's frequently in our world is misviewed, and people think, oh, it's Boba Fett. And it's like, no, actually, that's not. Ironically, Dengar kind of thinks the same thing in the Star Wars universe. It's like, oh, it's Fett. No, it's not. And so he contacts Boba, basically saying, hey, or Dengar contacts Boba, and he's like, hey, this guy, Jodo Kast, he's better than you. And Fett basically hires Jodo Kast, disguised, and he disguises himself as Sava Breek Madak to trap him on Nal Hutta, to basically punish Kast for basically misconstruing people to think that he is Boba Fett or that he's better than Fett. So Kast and Fett get in this huge fight, and Boba will, of course, kill him, and will kill him, in fact, with a shot to the head. So it's kind of a brief story there. Kind of interesting. I kind of like the similarities of kind of how the, people will be like, oh, it's Boba Fett. No, it's not. How it kind of compares to our world in sense of, like it does in the Star Wars world. So that's kind of cool. I mean, it's a good story. I mean, it's a one shot. It's meant to be a one and done. It's a good read. It kind of shows how ruthless Boba Fett is in the sense of, I'm going to hire you for a job, and then, nope, surprise, actually, I'm going to kill you. And it's very Boba Fett-esque, very much in Boba Fett fashion. So I got a kick out of reading it. I thought it was a lot of fun. And so I would recommend it. It's a pretty good read. So now we'll go ahead and we'll talk about the next thing. This is Star Wars Battle of the Bounty Hunters, a pop-up Star Wars comic, also put out by Dark Horse. This ties into, and you can kind of tell by the font here, it ties into Shadows of the Empire. And it basically talks about or goes into more detail about Boba Fett in the Shadows of the Empire. Where you see the fight he gets in with IG-88, and then ultimately after that fight he'll go to Gal, and then he will land on Tatooine and then fight some enemies there, and then it ends with him bringing Han Solo to Jabba the Hutt. So it's kind of a tie-in to Shadows. Basically, yeah, Boba Fett, more detail of Boba Fett and IG-88's aerial fight on Tatooine. So it's a tie to Shadows of the Empire. It's a fun extra thing. I mean, are you going to miss anything from Shadows by not reading this? Of course not. It was really just an extra thing for them to put out. To me, I mean, it's fun, but I don't know. To me, it's just a cash grab, of them just trying to say, oh, we're going to do another tie-in to Shadows of the Empire. And, oh, Boba Fett, he sells. Oh, I don't know. There wasn't enough here to make me go, like, I got something new out of it. I mean, I guess there's some new scenes, I guess, with him actually making the trek to Tatooine, or on Tatooine to the palace. But you kind of see that in the comic. Not really, though. So I guess that's one good thing to add to it. But really, We've already seen the space fight. It just, to me, this is just a cash grab. It was another thing that they could tie into Shadows and try and make a couple bucks off of it. And I guess they did, you know. Granted, though, I bought this secondhand, so I guess they didn't get it from me right away. But anyways, so these Boba Fett stories, are they essential? No, they're not essential to your Expandiverse reading. I do think that Twin Engines of Destruction is a much better read. I think it's a better story. Again, it's done by Cam Kennedy, or the art is, so it definitely has that Dark Empire kind of look to it, with the different colors and everything. So it's kind of a cool retro vibe there. Battle of the Bounty Hunters, like I said, I mean, it's a novel thing, but I do think it is the weaker of the two. So if you're gonna do any of them, I guess go with this one. But this one's okay, I guess, if you're completionist. Here you go. But honestly, they're both not essential. So if you choose to skip them, you're not missing much. So anyways, thanks for joining me on this Boba Fett centered one, and I'll see you next time when we go through more Star Wars EU.